Hey guys, thanks for joining us on the Recovery Vow Podcast. Today's episode is one that I've been excited about for about 2 months now. A friend of mine from my childhood, Jeremy Willis, stops by with his wife, Jennifer, and they share an intimate look inside of what addiction looked like in their marriage and what recovery looks like in their marriage. Now, these guys, they have been together for 130 years. I remember meeting her in 1996, but Jeremy taught me how to play golf. I worked for his dad at my first job at a pizza place, and so we go way back. So I just want you to settle in and just listen to a very heartfelt, true story of what love is, what recovery looks like, and what a great marriage looks like. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Recovery Vow Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Kennedy.
Thank you both for coming on the Recovery Vow Podcast, first of all. Jeremy and I go back to, let's go back to the year 1995. Picture it. Wagner, South Carolina. Jeremy's dad built a pizza place, the first pizza place in town, and I had to have a job there. It was me and Jay and Jeremy, and I can't remember anybody else. But this is how fun this job was. It wasn't like a job. We just had fun. And this is how cool I thought you were, or I knew you were, and I didn't think it.
Oh boy!
This dude had a lowrider that far off the ground. It was a Mitsubishi, Isuzu, about this color, about that color, with rims, and you played golf, and your parents owned a pizza place. That's who I want to be friends with. I'll mop the floors. I'll do whatever.
Now you had some low standards.
No, I didn't. Tommy Willis had me digging holes, and we put in pools when I wasn't flipping pizzas. And this is how I'm digging right into our story, because, 30 years ago, that's who we were. It was probably the best time of my life. We just didn't know how good it was. It was so much fun, but it also just led up to our struggles. But this is what I remember. I remember hanging out with you, and we listened to Shaggy on your radio and your lowrider, and you took me to play golf for the very first time ever in my life, and we went to this place in Williston. Shout out Williston Country Club, but it's a 9-hole course. You play it twice, and that's how you get 18. And man, we had so much fun.
Yeah.
And we were doing things that we don't want our kids to do now. Drinking, smoking, loud music, and all the things. But it was just part of our story.
Right.
And so that's what I want to do today. I just want to share our story. Now, you guys, I remember meeting you when you and Jeremy started dating. I don't know how long y'all been dating, but it was around that 1996. I think that's what you guys said.
Yep.
And we were. I mentioned it before we came in the studio. I remember watching the movie Kids and drinking Michelob Light before we played golf or something, or go to work pizza. But just talk to me from the time that, because I moved away from Wagner in '97 after I graduated. So you went to Lander, graduated. Tell me what life was like for you growing up with those kind of parents, and then, I know you got a sister and all of that, and you had, you guys met, but just walk me through, what do you think unfolded that got you to where you are, or got you where you were and then to where you are?
Yeah. I had, as with any family growing up, you have your struggles, financially. Sometimes it's things are good, sometimes, things aren't. But relating my childhood, I had a great childhood. I think the most traumatic thing for me that really affected my path was a cousin was killed in a car accident when I was 14.
I didn't know that.
He was 21, and he and I were very close. He was like my older brother, and that, I think that kind of changed me in some ways good, some ways bad. I did at that time start reading my Bible more and trying to hold on to something. But, relating my life and my story to addiction, in 4th grade, I broke my femur, my leg, on a skateboard.
That's a big break.
Yeah, and when I was in first grade, I had surgery on my hip because my hip socket was growing out of joint. And my doctor told me that if it had been, like another inch towards my hip, that it would have undone all the surgery he did when I was in kindergarten. So I was in the hospital for 5 weeks, in the bed and for 5 weeks in traction. And I recall having a pump that they had put medicine into, pain medication for my leg in. And every 3 hours I could press the button. And I remember and recall, fourth grade, I'm not mature by any means, but, I recall looking forward to that, being able to do that every 3 hours, or how often I got to do that pump. So fast forward to when I was in 8th grade, I punched a mirror and cut all these tendons, broke knuckles, just filleted my hand. Basically, it was pretty nasty. And when I was healing from that injury, I recall the pain medicine that they would give me. I enjoyed taking it. And I liked the way it felt. I mean, it helped, take my pain away, but those didn't come out to the light with me until when I was in full-fledged addiction. And 2009 when I went to rehab. But looking back and all through my high school, college years, I never, maybe had some pain medication every now and then for leisure fun, but it wasn't something that I, really thought about. So then, that obviously changed as I.
Because like high school and college, we're doing what we think all high school, college people are doing,
Right.
And we're probably right, but for us, it just triggers something different.
Absolutely.
Because I can relate to what you're saying. I've had the thing before, the drip in the hospital for a broken bone. I broke my arm. It sounds like though, and I'm not a doctor, but just the trauma from losing that cousin, that was a big deal. Yeah,
and the injury to obviously to my leg was before that, but that was a big deal. And when you go off to rehab, I was in a dual diagnosis facility where they do mental disorders and addiction, and I had a very good therapist, and we kind of replayed a bunch of things from growing up and that affected me, and that was obviously one of the biggest, most tragic that I kind of went through and had to deal with. I was 14 and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. But we had a very close family, aunts and uncles and everything, and we all pulled together and honored my cousin as often as we could, and talked about things and whatnot. But it was a big part of.
Who was the cousin? Do I know him?
I don't think so. He went to Irmo.
Oh, okay.
He was my mom's sister's son.
Okay.
His name was Timmy, and my son's middle name is Timothy. He's named after
awesome.
after my cousin, and they're actually, oddly enough, they're very similar in how they act. It's crazy because obviously my son never met him, but they act similar.
Well, walk me through, Jeremy, what from the time that we hung out and what got you to 2009. Like, when did you know? And Jennifer, the reason I wanted you to be here is because you came along at 95, 96, whatever that year was, and you stayed with this man that you love. And I think it's important for listeners to hear that you can make it through the addiction and after the addiction, through the trauma, all of it. So
it's not easy.
Right.
But it is worth it if you support your spouse.
So kind of walk me through, tell me some of the horror stories. Just share what you feel like you want to share in your marriage that led you to that recovery.
Yeah. Okay. So I was I started a job with a few of my closest friends, fraternity brothers from college, in 2002, and I about 2006, late 2006, 2006. We hired someone at our office, a lady, and she had access to pills, and she would give me some every now and then or whatever, and then it got to the point where I realized that what I felt way back as a child, that feeling, and that I enjoyed it, and it kept ramping up to the point where I started paying for them.
Did you have any idea about any of it in the beginning, or
No,
nothing?
not until I realized that a lot of money was taken out of our account because it was at a different bank that I worked at. I worked at a bank, and I never paid attention to what was at the other bank. And then one day I called him and said, X amount of money is taken out of our account. Somebody has stolen all this money from us, like a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's when
He had a breakdown.
he said, no, it hasn't been stolen. We need to talk.
Oh boy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we had a savings account that we had been putting money in and saving, and I would go by there and withdraw cash and take money for that. I had another account with some money. I had sold some things, property or something, years before. I took all the money out of it, and it just kept snowballing. It to the point where I sadly enough, I started even stealing.
I've done that.
I stole from work. I had some customers pay cash, and I would take the cash and use that. I would take from where I knew anybody had cash. I would get it, and
It's crazy what we do in our addiction, man. We have got the brains that kind of go into that if we could apply it a different way. But I get it. I used to mail the water bill to the power company, and the power bill to the water company, and just say it got mixed up. I had access to that cash because I could take those checks and cancel them or whatever. And my wife, she wouldn't know none the wiser until I said, I just messed that up. So, we find ways to find money.
Yeah, I've always said, told people that addicts are some of the most creative people in the world. And not in a great way, but like you said, if you can use that to other ways, for other good things, they're extremely creative on how you have to go about, taking receipts and showing that you spent money, but whatever you got.
You ever watch some people on TV like where they'll I've seen this in like New York, they'll dig through a trash can outside of not saying that you and I dug through a trash can, but just saying creatively, they would find receipts and go back into like the Walgreens or whatever and say, hey, they'd go get something off the shelf, have a receipt, and just say, I'm returning this, I don't need it. And so it was already restocked. They're just getting the money back just to kind of feed the habit.
Yep. That's right.
And that's when you talk about brains working that way, I get it.
Yep.
So how many, so this person that you kept in the office, I don't need to know a dollar amount, but how many pills were you taking?
Well, it got to be where I figured out she was making money off of me, so I ended up finding out where she was getting it and started going that route. And towards the end, I was probably at 22 pills a day.
Oxys?
Lortabs. Yeah. Sometimes it'd be more, depending on what the day was like. But when she found that out, I tried to quit cold turkey for over a weekend, and it was awful. It was bad. And
can you define what that weekend looked like from your point of view, and then from your point of view?
I was supposed to do a 5K walk or run with my dad that Saturday. And I'm thinking, I can't tell my dad. that my husband's a drug addict. Number two, I can't leave my husband because I don't know what might happen to him if he's withdrawing. I mean, I've never been around drugs. That's a whole different world for me. And so I was like, what do I do? What do I do? So I went, and we had 2 small kids at the time. So I went. My mom was babysitting, and the whole time I'm walking this thing, and I am so quiet. Like, I am not talking to my dad. I am thinking, oh my goodness, like, am I going to come home and he's dead, or am I going to come home and he's okay? But I left him, and he was on the back porch and sweating. I mean, just sweating uncontrollably. And I made it home, and, you know, life went on. And then after that.
Yeah, so after that weekend, it wasn't probably the Wednesday of that following week that I realized I can't do it. I went straight back to using. And, you know, I guess seeing that all that had happened and the guilt I was feeling, you know, my mind was like, I'm gonna go hard this time. I mean, it's too much to bear. So I guess that lasted about a month, and during that month, you know, I had to be obviously even more creative. There's no money left in the savings account. So, you know, that's when I kind of went towards more of the oxy, some of the harder, stronger ones, because it was just like, it's almost like this is my last effort here. I'm out. You know, I'm going to go after it hard. So about a month into that, I started getting like sick at work. I would come to work. I'd shut my door and lay down, and I'd be nauseated. I was really physically starting to kind of take its toll on me. And
this was around 2008.
This was 2009.
And in the meantime, he has psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. So he's feeling bad, and I'm thinking, oh, he just feels bad from
the arthritis,
his autoimmune disease. I'm totally oblivious as to. I mean, I didn't know that he had started using again.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, I worked with a few of my really close friends, and I was at home one night. We were at home, and they knocked on the door, and they said, you know, we thought we'd be outside. And they went outside and started talking. They were like, what's the matter? What's wrong? You're not right. And
because you've known these guys for years.
Yeah, college. They were my roommates in college.
Yeah.
And you know,
it's good to have people though that can read you.
It is. It's good. It's good to have that, you know, that support. And I told them, you know, and I also knew that now that since I had relapsed, I had to go back upstairs and tell her after she thought I had quit. And
how'd that conversation go when you're talking to business partners / brothers / friends, and, you know, however you want to define it? How did they receive that information when you confessed to them?
You know, the business part of it wasn't even thought about. You know, it was you gotta get taken care of, and you know, I was very fortunate too that my boss and his wife that owned the company had firsthand experience with, you know, addiction with family members, and I had to go to their house the next day and sit on the porch with them and talk with them. That, you know, they wanted that, and they told me I had to go to a 30-day rehab, you know, facility. That my job would be fine; it would be there.
That's good.
You know, and yeah, very thankful to have them and to have them force me to, or put me in, give me that option to go. And it really wasn't an option. If I wanted to stay working there, I had to go to a facility. So
if you wanted to stay married, you had to go.
Yeah,
there's the truth.
that was part of that too. You know, so that 24 hours of that was total chaos. You know, and I'm looking for a facility to go to, trying to, and this is back when we had phone books,
That's how I found mine, was in the phone book.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I was laying on the floor, and remember Miss Audrey Spradley and that little blue trailer she had behind her?
Yep.
I rented that for $200 a month, right by Carrie's house.
Yeah.
And I remember laying on the floor in the living room, and I was just thumbing through the phone book, and I had to call.
Yep.
It's the same way.
Yeah, and that's what you did, and so, I called a couple and had one call me back, and that night I was on a flight to Memphis.
That's good.
With one pill in your pocket.
I had a few. I had some pills in my pocket. I had something, and the guy picked me up from the airport. When he picked me up, we got out the car, and I said I need to make a phone call real quick, and I called the person that I had been buying from, and I told him, I said I'm going into rehab. I said, whatever I owe you, I'll take care of it, but I'm done. And I got out to the van at the rehab facility, and what I had left in my pocket I took.
Really?
And it was it was a couple of Xanax or something, but
you made that phone call to that person to protect your family, or just to let them know you're going to take care of when you got back?
Both. I didn't. There were some, family members that were pretty rough in that family. Could be a little fearful, but I wanted to make sure they understood. I was going to take care of it, and I was done. I'm not going to be calling. I don't. And she actually, while I was in rehab, mailed her the money.
Really? That's what I was about to ask. Like, do you get somebody to help take? Because I never paid that last. I got $60 from me, and I never paid him. So I worried about him hurting my family over it, because they'll kill you over that, or people. They'll hurt your people.
Oh yeah.
And when I started working the 12 steps, I was like, well, I got to make amends with this dude, or I got to pay him his money, And I can remember his phone number now. That's 15 years,
Yeah.
I went by there one time. There wasn't nobody home, so I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I made the effort.
Right.
And what didn't happen.
That's right.
So I can live with it.
Yes.
Continue. Sorry about that.
No,
I'm just trying to relate.
But yeah, so I told her what to do, and we take care of it, and that was done. While I was in rehab, there, the lady that was in our office was let go. She had a lot of other issues, things going on too, and a very unhealthy situation. So went to rehab, which was
You left on our anniversary?
Did you really?
Or the day after?
It was October 8th, 2009 is when I checked in. And I was in...
What's your anniversary?
October 6th.
6th.
So 2 days after. So, yeah, I was on the... where they get you off of it, first. That
Detox.
Yeah, I couldn't detox for a week, and then moved down to the other floor. But that was an experience. My roommate when I moved from detox was an attorney from Alabama, and he basically told me he was going to kill me in my sleep, because he thought I told on him that he had a cell phone, and he knew all this karate. The guy was like 60 years old, and he was talking, like, you can wake up, I'm over you, I'm gonna kill you. And so I told the staff, I'm like, what in the world? And they're like, we don't have any more beds. You can sleep out in the hallway in the back. There's a couch right there. So, okay.
All right.
So I went back there, and I slept on the couch for the first 2 nights. And then they got another roommate, and he was an attorney from Alabama too. He's a young guy, and he ended up
Roll Tide.
He ended up dying about a year after I left rehab. He had a lot of issues going on, but anyway, it was a very different experience. my therapist was from Columbia. I'm in Memphis, and I got a therapist from Columbia, which of all places, and she was very good. And but just some of the makeup of the people there. I mean, doctors, attorneys. You got a guy that is on the street. From Detroit. You got an agent for the IRS there. I mean, it's just all kinds of different people.
No face to it at all.
No. It doesn't. Addiction doesn't discriminate by any means. And I took to some of them, and became friends, and but you never know. You're around a bunch of people like yourself. You never know what their motive is or what they're thinking. So you have to kind of keep your guard up. But I worked the system the steps while I was in there. We got to go out and go to meetings and do things. But it was a experience.
Yeah.
And it she found that she got to visit one weekend. And it was challenging, but I had a lot of undoing what I had done, and a lot of work to show her that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, because this is your opportunity to hit reset.
That's right.
And I'm hot mad.
I bet so.
I'm hot mad, and I wasn't going to go until
you didn't have to go.
No, I did not have to go to family day or whatever it was until his mom was like, "I will pay for you," because at this point, I mean, like, we don't have any money. I'm like, I can't just get on a flight to Memphis and go see him.
Yeah.
One, I don't want to, and two, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And she said, "No, you need to go," and she said that she would pay for it. So I got there and I was mad, but it's crazy, all those feelings. Like, you want to be mad at him, and you see him, and then you just break down because you feel so sorry for him that he's just stuck in this web and he can't get out. And as a wife, I'm supposed to be there, and the mother of his children, I'm supposed to be there and support and support and support. That's a big battle.
And there's no
it's a big battle.
And we'll dig into this a little bit later in the episode, but did they offer something for you to do or to take home? Like, you need to understand this is what's going to be coming home?
Yes, they did. But I think the main thing, because like I said, I have never been around any type of addict in my life. I guess you could say I was pretty sheltered. But when I don't remember who was speaking at the family day, but he's like, "Do you think that your loved ones really choose to be an addict?" Like, it is a disease. And that really opened up my eyes to say, it's not like he meant to hurt us.
Right.
It's not like he would intentionally hurt his family or steal from people that he loved or all of these things. So at that point, my heart kind of softened a little bit, and then I just went into support mode.
Yeah. So I'm glad you went.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was I am too, because it was good for her to be around that, and even some of the other patients, I guess you could say, there, it kind of opens your eyes to realize that, you're in a bad situation, but you see some that really have tough situations, and it kind of gives you the hope, like, man, I've got a support group. A lot of these people don't, and I do. I've got a great support group.
You're getting letters every day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had people sending me letters every day, cards, It was eye-opening as far as that goes, but which is good when you're in that frame of mind, because you've been in a dark, lonely place for so long.
When you got there, Jeremy, did you make a dedication that this was going to be it, or did something happen within the first few days after detox that something triggered? What made you know that you wanted to be the one that was successful from going?
With what I had done, to her and our finances and my kids, I made the vow to know more from the beginning. Now, I made that vow not knowing, 100% what. As I progressed through rehab, seeing other situations, talking to people going back to some of the things from my childhood with my therapist, talking about those things, that solidified my vow more, as I progressed through that, because it made me realize even more, like I can't be like somewhere like without my kids like this, and and her having, to deal with it, it made it real. Like, this is it. I'm done.
You had something to fight for.
And I wasn't in the greatest frame of mind in the beginning, but I knew I wanted to be done. I just had to get to that point where, okay, man, I'm done. And that was, October 8, 2009. So how many years that is? I'm not good with math.
14?
2009, almost 16 years.
Yep.
So you're 15 years now. You get home. What's it like? Like, I know what it's like, but my marriage, that marriage failed, and it should have. But not all marriages do. Some make it. Look at you guys. You were in support mode, but what did it look like when you got home?
Well, the first thing I noticed when I walked out the airport or out the plane is, my kids had signs.
That's good.
Everybody thought he was coming home from the military. They were like, "Welcome home, Dad," and they're like, "Oh, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service."
Some service. But my daughter was old enough. She wasn't really old enough to grasp it. My son was 2 or 3, so he didn't get it. And I didn't tell them until my son about 3 or 4 months ago.
Really?
And it wasn't that I wanted to hide it. I just wanted them to be at a frame of mind, spiritually and mentally, to where they could kind of grasp it, and not too young to think, or hey, my dad was a drug addict. He was a drug addict, But my children are extremely strong in their faith.
That's great.
And once I realized that they could handle it, I wanted to tell them, so they know now. And I never tried to hide anything when I got home. I even posted on my Facebook, like, where I had been for 30 days, what I had gone through. And, I went to NA meetings for, a while. And they were good. It was just it was such a different situation in those meetings. I ended up finding a men's group at my church for, recovering addicts.
That's great.
And that was home. That was where I needed to be. Great group of guys. Just older, younger, but we all shared the same goal and had been through similar things, and that was the biggest help for me. Obviously, repairing my marriage, setting up boundaries for me. Her and I having to, sit down and communicate and talk things and be upfront.
Get brutally honest.
Yeah. That's right.
I was like, "You're off the bank account. We're going to the bank next week to get you off the bank account." That's number one.
That's number one.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be.
Right.
Because it took me putting restrictions on myself to help her believe and know. Yeah. Obviously it helped me too, but I knew that I was at a point, and I know you're probably not supposed to say, I know I'm never going to do it again, but I knew that I didn't want to go back. I did not.
And I can agree with you.
Yeah.
I knew from when I got out, I knew I needed that 12-step program, and I did that. But I'm the same way. I did the NA and the AA and all the A's, and I'm not knocking them. But I was not ready to accept anything being a higher power.
Right.
That confused me.
Yeah.
And don't Jesus juke me. I wasn't ready for that either. I wasn't ready for that curveball. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But then I got invited to church, and then I found a small group like that, and they accepted God as you understand Him as your higher power. Now, listeners, that when you listen to this podcast, just know that this is our experience. Some people find recovery, in different ways.
Right.
Not knocking that, and I'm not trying to Jesus juke anybody. I'm just saying that I can relate to you. because when I found that, I haven't really gone back to meetings.
Yeah.
I still stayed in touch with a sponsor, and because he was a good dude, and I didn't want that to be edged out of my life once I had it. If that makes sense.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So I totally get that. But for you, like, Jennifer, you had to create these new barriers or stipulations or whatever. Did you go like in your room and just start writing down, like, okay, first of all, bank account, that's number one? Like,
No, I didn't really have goals. I tried to be as supportive. I think that was probably my biggest goal, to be supportive and not in a dictator role. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to lay out a big laundry list on how this is what you can and this is what you can't do, because I didn't want to necessarily I don't want him to feel restricted even more than what he was already feeling.
Right.
Trying to get through this addiction.
Yeah. Some women just have told me before on the podcast that they just felt left out because this program teaches us to be selfish. Like, we had to become very selfish and it's supposed to be God, your wife, your kids, but you have to kind of slide that addiction in right above every one of those. And I've talked to wives before, or husbands, if it's the wife that's in the addiction, that they feel like they've been forgotten about, or I need you to make this about me a little bit, not in a negative way, but hey, you put us through this. I feel this way still, but it's interesting that you didn't. You went into just full support mode.
I feel like I did. I'd never gone through this before. I'm just basically trying to keep 2 kids alive and keep my life together, work full time, and try to deal with all these emotions that I'm feeling. And I feel like I really had, during that time, to like really dive into scripture and really understand what it is to be the support system that he needed at home. The last thing that we needed to do was to turn on him.
Right.
Unless we wanted him to go back to the way that he was, of which we didn't do that. We believed in him. We all did.
Share a moment that was like celebrated. It didn't have to be like as soon as you got home, but maybe it was a month or 2 months or a year down the road. What was one big moment that happened after you got back out of treatment that you can say, this is our family's, this is going great? Do you remember anything?
I remember you got to come home a little early from rehab, and we went to a Clemson ball game, and I thought,
go Tigers.
Yeah.
I thought, God is good. The world is okay.
That's perfect. There you go.
But that was pretty.
That was pretty
quick.
quick.
He's still.
But, it's. I don't know that there's a moment. I think it's because when you come back from rehab, you have to relive and tell everybody stuff that's asking about you and talk about it, and so it's almost like there's just a lot of little moments, like, man, we're at a Clemson game, and I'm clean, and I'm having fun, I'm enjoying it, life.
That's perfect. Though.
Life is happening, without what I've gone through, been living with, the support and she has given me and staying with me has been, I'm grateful. I can't repay that.
No.
Obviously I would do the same for her, but just the biggest thing for me that I got into after that, because I'm not one to sit still and sit around. I've got to be doing something.
Same. And
I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, but my buddy that I worked with, we got into coaching, and his son was a couple years older than mine, and he asked me to coach in football, and then got into coaching football, coaching baseball. Then in 2016, he and I started our own youth program, football program, And, he was there for a year, and his son went to the varsity level, so he went with him to the varsity level. And then I ran it for my son to come all the way through the program. And now it's, when my son went to the varsity level program, I went with him too and turned it over, to someone I had been looking for people that would take it on, and it's tremendous. It's grown tremendously since then. And we started, a youth baseball team, travel team, and
God bless you traveling coaches and parents and stuff. Y'all go all over the place.
Yeah, because our daughter did travel softball too. But so we were running pretty. But to me, that was that time that I would have on hand that now I was doing something. Mm-hmm. And I was never the greatest football mind coach, but I poured everything into those kids.
That's good. And it gave you had to have that. Like you had to have something to feel that. It's like your pride. Like my wife picks on me because I love doing projects around it. Well, I did. She slowed me down because it cost so much. I had to have like a project around the house to do. Like, okay, we're going to put a pergola in the backyard, or we're going to remodel the kitchen, or. Yeah. But it was because I was chasing something in my mind. That's just how we're wired too. Mm-hmm. We want to lead. We want to do things well. We want to do it with excellence. But we want to have something to do all the time. That's right. That's why I've got this now. Like I can't stop. That's right. But if I don't, I'll just live in my brain, and that's where I don't need to be at.
That's right.
That is what I believe got him through where he is today and been clean for 15 years.
Yeah.
Is
100%.
Football, or pouring in to our kids or to other people's kids that don't have a father figure. Mm-hmm.
That's a legacy you've built.
He running them back and forth to practice. These aren't even our kids, and he's running them back and forth to practice. He's getting them dinner on the way home because they don't have the family support at home. But that is where he put all of his energy.
Yeah.
It makes me proud to be his wife.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all the kids I've coached, they know they can call me at any time, and they do. If it's been 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I've gotten a call, and with something going on, and I'll be there.
Because I was telling the truth in the beginning, but I was just trying to break the ice before we started doing this. But you and I hung out when we were younger, and the reason I brought that up is because we did that, and the kids that we deal with today. It's not that we're trying to protect them from doing that, because they may walk in the same path that we did. Right. But that's just our path. That's just our testimony.
That's right.
And it doesn't. You're giving them an opportunity to do something else besides that.
Absolutely.
And if they do, they need to know that they can easily walk away from it. It doesn't have to define who they are or take over what they do.
That's right.
You're just giving them opportunities, chances.
Absolutely.
And I think that's powerful.
Oh yeah, and I think giving them a loving person. Don't get me wrong. When I coach, they hated me. But they knew I loved them, and they knew they could come to me, or they can at any point. And I've told them, I'll always be here for you. You can come to me at any time. Just having that person that's no judgment. Hey, I've done it all. I've done a lot of wrong. I can't judge anybody. You can come to me and talk to me. Having that, just to know you can go to someone and talk to. They're not going to judge you. They're just going to love you and guide you and help you. Was what my goal was for them to have that. Because there's so many kids that don't have the greatest situations, and you just want to give them an opportunity, or at least play some small part in their life that maybe one day they think, okay, well, I remember, I can do that, I can call Coach Jeremy, or I remember we did this, I can do it, you have the confidence or something, whatever it may be. But that was my therapy. And I always told my kids that a lot of times in the practice that you guys keep me alive.
Yeah, and they got to have a good father figure.
Yeah.
I had a good father figure, but then I think about Tommy.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's precious.
He is, but I mean, we worked, but he was a good father figure to me. From working at the pizza place, he would just like God. Like I remember him telling me, "This is why I wanted to look like this. I wanted to look like this pizzeria place because he wanted to do things with excellence." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then putting in pools or whatever. But I'll tell you this, and this is what makes me think about Tommy Willis is we didn't go out to eat a whole lot when I was growing up. Like my mom would grab Kentucky Fried Chicken every once in a while if she went aching. But I remember we had the first night that pizza joint or pizza stop was open. He took us out to celebrate one of the first nights, and we went to Ruby Tuesdays.
He loved Ruby Tuesdays.
It was the fanciest restaurant I've ever been to before in my life.
Oh.
And we went at like 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, what are we going to eat at 8 o'clock at night?
Right.
You know? But that's just how he wanted. You remind me of your daddy right now because of just pouring into people and making those little impacts. Mm-hmm. You don't know what's going to happen to those kids you're coaching 20, 30 years from now that, you know.
That's right.
You've done something. So I commend you for that. Before we close, because I know we're pressed on a little bit of time, but I'm not going to make this go fast, but tell me what marriage has been like for you guys. I know it's got to be great in recovery, but what's it been like the last 15 years? What have you learned from each other in recovery?
Because, you know...
These are tough questions. It's like Jeopardy right now.
You know, marriages never stop, in my opinion. They never stop having struggles or it's two different people. You know, I mean, you're two different people. There's no one that is exactly like you where nothing's going to ever go. You still have your struggles. But I think what it gives me and hopefully her is the recovery one, the addiction one was tough. And now going forward and whatever comes up, I think we're more prepared and realize whatever it is, we got it. Mm-hmm. We can. Hey, we got it. It's all right. We've been through it. We've had a lot tougher one to deal with. We got this one. Yeah. More of an understanding. The trust for her to me. I think that finally kind of getting that back was huge. And openness. I'm not a talker. I come home and she's like, "How's your day going?" "That's good."
And I'm just like,
you sound like my wife, Kristen. I'm sorry, but it sounds just like her. Cause
it's like a list of things she's got to tell me, and I'm like, oh, okay. But that's her, and this is, But regardless, she knows that I would tell her things that like I just started a new job, and I'm at that point where so many different things are happening, and I come home and I'm telling her, and she's just over there like,
I love it.
All happy, and like, he's telling me all this stuff. But, so it's, I think just the mature love part of it, like, we can handle it. We got it.
Right.
Like we've been together 30 years.
It's not a big deal. Like we don't really have like fights, big arguments.
Yeah.
We may have some disagreements, but from what we've come from, it's just not even worth. Like, okay, babe, you want to be right? You go right ahead and be right.
Yeah.
Is it really okay? Or let her be right. Let her think that she's right. It's okay.
That's awesome.
It's just the small stuff really doesn't matter.
Yeah, but y'all been together 30 years, almost, right?
Next year will be January 26th will be 30 years that we've been together. We dated for 6 before we got married.
That's insane.
It is.
That goes by so fast, y'all.
It makes you insane.
Jeremy.
Her, not me. Her. I make her insane.
Well, look, I'm giving you guys this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to promote yourself or talk about something you've done. I've done this for you, for the supporting spouse of a person that's in recovery, because there's no. The reason I asked you, like, did they give you anything or did you take anything back with you when you went to, like, Family Day? There's not a lot of resource out there. So when XO published this book, it's because we did search, like, we tried to look for something, and there wasn't, like, a workbook. So this is written as a workbook. Even at 15 years, I would be honored if you guys would just go through it. You don't have to do it, but just go through it and just tell me what you think about it. Give me some good feedback. I'd love to hear what you think.
This is great because you're right. I did not have a tool other than a Bible. This is the only
And you got to have that. That's
and
the
I gotta
big
have the
book.
Right. But there was nothing that tangible that I took away.
It's super practical. It's easy to go through. It's not, because for us, like in that first year, I didn't want to handle anything that was intimidating. I wanted to get my hands on everything when it came to recovery, but like if you'd have put a book in front of me that thick, like, hey, we got to go through it, it's intimidating.
Exactly.
So this is, this is meant to just be very practical.
Right.
It's a good word for
that's
it.
huge.
It is.
For the spouse that is not an addict, that doesn't know, and because it's hard for them to relate, and that's a huge tool.
This is
great job,
this is
man. I'm
exciting.
excited to read it.
Yeah.
Dig into it.
I want to say this before we close. We've kind of connected over the past few years via social media or whatever, and I've watched you guys from afar, not like stalkerish or anything like that, but just to watch. You come up, your kids grow up, and then when you told me that you were in recovery, it blew my mind. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I want to say, I am so proud of you. I am proud of you, and I'm just proud that you guys toughed it out, and you are setting an example for not only your kids, but for your parents and for the people that you surround yourself with. It's just important. And so I'm appreciative of you sharing your story. Now, I know we didn't go into all the heavy detail, and that's great, but people need to see that marriages can be successful when they have recovery, and you can have a successful life and successful marriage and all the things.
Absolutely.
And it's not perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's genuinely yours.
Absolutely. And that feeling's likewise. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is where you are, how you're reaching out. I
got to have a project. I got to have something to do.
Right.
And my wife's sending more pergolas, so I'm like, okay, I'll do a podcast.
There you go.
Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
We'll
Thank
wrap
you.
up, and we'll take you out to eat. I don't care if you had Arby's earlier or not. All right. Hey, thanks for listening to the Recovery Vow Podcast. I hope you had a lot of fun with us. We talked about enough surface level stuff that we want you to hear, but I hope that you enjoyed listening to Jeremy's story. I think that this story was one that just came with grace and honor and dignity, and I appreciate him being here and just being truthful. And just thank you guys for listening in, as always. If you would like to be a supporter of the Recovery Vow Podcast, we are a nonprofit. So if you would like to become a donor or a supporter, you can go to www.recoveryvow.com. If you'd like to follow us on any of our social media platforms, you can do so. For our older folks, we're on Facebook. For the younger crowd, we're on Instagram. If you'd like to subscribe to us on YouTube, you can do that. And you can stream us on any of your favorite platforms every Monday. So we'll see you next week.